Each time I interact with startups and I come to an ecosystem, I feel I should have been born 20 years later. And instead of the boring bureaucratic life that I've had, I should have done some innovation and brought in something new to the world. But here I am in a policy-making role, and I think it's really an opportunity where I'm able to take your feedback and able to curate, create policies around promotion of innovation and entrepreneurship in the country. While we were singing the national anthem today, really it was overwhelming to see that we truly are represented by the entire country in this very auditorium. We have incubators from Guwahati and Prime in Meghalaya. We have somebody from J&K, Kerala, Gujarat, UP, Odisha. It's really a pleasure to see all of you here. This shows that we are all together in this objective of creating the right kind of incubation facilities for startups. I'll just share some brief statistics on where we are today. Since the launch of the Startup India initiative in 2016 by the Honorable Prime Minister, back then there were merely 300 to 400 startups in some parts of the country. Hyderabad, Bangalore, 2-3 major cities, and startup was not the buzzword then. 7 years down the line, today, we have more than 91,000 recognized startups. We are the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. The third largest again in the number of unicorns we have. Back in 2016, there were 3 to 4 states that had some startup policy. Today we have 31 plus, and I think yesterday Uttarakhand also came up with their startup policy. So what an overwhelming response by the entire country towards this movement. Needless to say, incubation is something that startups need first and foremost. It was just, I was talking to Professor, and just 2 months back, we had a national level workshop in Bangalore, which was chaired by the Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister, Shri Piyush Goyalji. And it was then when Professor Jhunjhunwala had come over and he had told us that he'd invited us, the entire ecosystem, that come and see what's happening in IITM Research Park. He said, come and see how we've built up an area around incubation, how we're promoting innovation here. And I'm told that there is no government funding that actually went into the establishment of this research park, and the success is entirely self-driven by the community. And here we are, joined by all of you for this 2-day workshop. I hope over the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, you're all able to really gather a lot of knowledge by sharing experience with each other. There's a lot that you can learn from each other, and also take back good practices from how this incubation park came up. Startup India under DPIIT is running a couple of schemes to support the startup ecosystem. There's a fund of funds scheme meant for startups who want equity, want to get some more equity funding. They're at the growth stage. There is a credit guarantee scheme that was launched recently. The one of interest to you as incubator would be the seed fund scheme, where we support incubators that then in turn provide seed support to the startups. And this young team of mine, these 4 or 5 people, they are the ones who do decide whom to give that incubation money to. So whenever you have free time, do interact with them, register yourself immediately, catch hold of them, and there is no reason why we should not be able to support you with that seed fund money that we have. Just want to keep it short. I'm here as a student myself. I want to learn what is it that went behind IITM becoming such a big success, and I'll hand it over to the compare to take it forward from here. Thank you.
Thank you for first all of you to come over here. I do hope that 1.5 day that you will spend here will be worthwhile. It is true that we have built very, very large innovation ecosystem, startup ecosystem. We have not learned to be very successful yet. And this workshop will be an attempt to get us to learn what makes a startup ecosystem successful. There is no easy answer, there is no one answer. So we, however, will discuss, learn from each other informally, formally. Particularly tomorrow morning, I think we start fairly early, 9 a.m. And we will go on till 5:30, whatever time. And we will spend every minute trying to figure this out. Thank you, Shruti, for making this happen. I know that you told me that you will make this happen, and your team, Astha and all others, to really make this happen. I wanted to tell you a few things. Tomorrow I'm going to formally, today is not a formal start. Tomorrow is going to be the start. And the first session itself, I'm going to talk what we have been able to do and what we think make things successful. Today is a little bit breaking the ice, and after a short talk by me, it's going to be a little bit more fun event for the 45 minutes or so before we break for lunch, dinner. So it's not going to be anything much more serious. But let me, because you have come here, and I think most of you have been able to also go around, and to tell you a little bit about this ecosystem and what we did. I want to start by sort of saying that I joined IIT Madras as a professor 42 years back. So and I don't certainly regret that I am not 30 years. I'm 30 years older to you, and I don't want to be born 30 years earlier or 50 years earlier. I think to just tell you a few things, 1981 I came back to India. I was in US. Before that I was in IIT Kanpur. And just tell you a little bit and what drives this whole thing. Now the first thing that I wanted, I came to Chennai, first time, Madras that time. First time I had come here, my parents were in Calcutta. And all that I wanted was to be able to get a telephone so that I can periodically call them. It took me 8 years to get a telephone. 8 years to get a telephone. There was a waiting list for 8 years. That was a shock. Why? What is wrong with us? Why in India do we, and I was willing to spend money, that was not the issue, but why does it take 8 years to get a telephone? And it was not just about a telephone. If it was telephone alone, one could have said, well, something we don't understand. I wanted to buy a two-wheeler because IIT Madras campus is very large. Unfortunately, that's about 625 acres. So even to go from my home, where I live on campus, to office was about 2.5 kilometers. So I wanted to buy a two-wheeler. Cars that time one could not possibly afford. Cycle one could take, or a two-wheeler. I thought I'll take a two-wheeler. I had a little bit of money. Somebody told me, oh, good scooter, Bajaj Chetak. And I decided, that's a nice scooter, I'll buy it. I went, they showed me the various color, I ticked off all the things, they told me the money, I was willing to give them the money. And then I asked them a question, when do you think where can I pick it up? The person looked at me, sir, you are on a waiting list. It's a waiting list to buy a scooter? Yes. What's the typical waiting time? 4 years. I can tell you more and more things. But the worst was, I wanted to get a gas cylinder for my home. I was cooking so far using a kerosene stove. I had bought a kerosene stove the day after I landed here, and I was cooking. And those of you who have cooked with kerosene stove will find it not very convenient, but it's okay, manageable. But I wanted to get a gas cylinder so that I can cook with LPG gas. I went to the place and asked them that I want to book for a gas cylinder. By now I was quite prepared that I have to wait. So there was an old man sitting there. He looked at me and says, okay, when did you book, sir? I say, I'm not booked. This is the first time I'm booking. No, your parents must have booked for you. No, parents have not booked for me. So I'm from Calcutta and they have their gas cylinder. I don't have it. I want to do it. Then he sort of went somewhere, brought out a register, and then he told me, sir, you can write down your name. We'll put you in this waiting list. but I don't think you will get the gas cylinder in your lifetime. But anyway, still register because your children will benefit. That was my introduction to India in '81. As a professor and a faculty member in IIT Madras, not some village or something like that. And it is that which kind of inside one sort of said, if you are wanting to do something for the country, you have to do something. And that's where I started seeing, first of all, soon after I got to know IIT Madras, I found that there is practically no interaction with industry. There is no contribution. We produce students, good undergraduate students. I myself was a product of IIT Kanpur. We went abroad. A few of us also stayed in India, but we didn't work with industry. And then I started trying to find through the industry, through some contacts of mine. And I found that industry definitely did not think that academia can do anything. It is that in 1982-83, we started breaking, saying, how can industry and academia work together? Can we even do small things? Can we build a confidence building? And if you don't mind, I'll tell you one story. After some amount of this thing, I did visit one of the companies where they were making a power line carrier communication equipment. And a company called WS Industries here found somebody, visited them, looked at what they had said and all that, figured out what they are doing. They were importing technology from some Canadian company. And in one of the IEEE meetings here in city, I was young, 30-year-old, so 30 years, a little foolish at times. So I did not realize, so I got up and said that here is this company which is bringing all this technology from Canada and selling this product, making a little bit very expensive. It costs 1 lakh rupees to get one equipment. If they gave me 1 lakh rupees, I'll develop the whole product in 1 year. I foolishly said that. It was printed in the newspaper next morning. And by noon, I get a call from this managing director's office of WS Industries. Now I realize that what a mess that I have made. And so I got on the call. He says, you said that. I say, sir, I tried to be apologetic. He said, why couldn't you come and meet me? I'll send you a car. I couldn't say no, so I went and met him. I was very worried. I again started trying to say apologetically and all that. He said, sit down. You think you can really develop the whole technology in 1 year time at 1 lakh rupees? I said, I think that I understand what is to be done. And it is going to be a challenge, but I think I can. He took out a checkbook and gave me a 1 lakh rupee check, 1984. That 1 lakh will be equal to 1 crore rupees today. And I was overwhelmed. I came back to IIT Madras. I had a bunch of undergraduate students, 20 of them, that's the only ones that I knew. I used to teach them, bright ones, 20 of them. I said, this is the thing that I have done, and I've got the money, and we are supposed to build this. I've taught you what is there theoretically, but I know nothing. I did not know what an AND gate was at that time. We have to build this whole thing. And these youngsters said, sir, you have a lab? I said, yeah, I have a lab. Say that we should open it for 24/7. I said, we'll open it by 24/7. And a bunch of them started working. In a year's time, we had a tabletop model which did exactly what the power line carrier communication equipment of WS Industries did. We understood everything. We could do this. But it was a very fragile system. It will take us 5-10 minutes to set it right. Certainly, it was not something that could be industrially produced. Certainly, we had no sense of whether it can make money, what it will cost. So in no way it was a product. We realized that. WS Industries had put one person to work with us. So that has guided us. And functionality we proved, but we knew that it cannot be a product. I was a little worried what will happen. I say I asked for extension, this, that. I promptly gets a call close to end of year saying that Jhunjhunwala, I want to come and meet, see what you. I told him, he said, don't worry, I'll come and see. I was again very worried. He came, he saw the whole thing. He was not at all angry, upset. He says, good, can I take this system? I says, of course you have funded it. But you know it cannot be yet produced. We don't know what its bill of material is. We don't know it will ever make money. He said, don't worry, that's my business. Can I take this? The chairman himself had come. We of course gave it to him. And matter was forgotten. I was feeling guilty. I didn't know what was happening. 2 months down the line, I get a call. And I'm telling this story for a very specific purpose. And these are one of the hundreds of real stories that I went through. 2 months later, I get a call saying, Jhunjhunwala, the chairman wants to see you and have lunch with you. I said, now the beating will come. I go there and he's already sitting there. He again sends a car. I go there. He's sitting there with 3 Canadians. And he introduces me. As soon as I go, he gets up and he says, this is Professor Jhunjhunwala. He came back from US. He's in IIT. You know about IIT. All these students of IIT are doing so well. You know, this product that you people have been giving me technology for, he has completely designed and made the whole system and is ready. I try to nudge him and tell him, sir, not ready. He just will put me off and say, you know, you people have been selling me this product. The component price that I pay you is 70,000 rupees. And after all the production, we sell it about 1 lakh rupees. We are able to sell so many pieces. But you know, the demand is very large. But there is really nothing much for us in doing this. Now that Professor Jhunjhunwala, Dr. Jhunjhunwala has made this system, and he has made it at 25,000 rupees. I was trying to say, what is he talking about? And come, I'll show you. And he walks with me, tagging along, and with these 3 people, and our system is sitting in a glass case. He opens a glass case, and whatever I had shown in the lab, he showed a bit of it is working. He never talked anything beyond that. He says, now it costs 25,000 rupees, and I'm going to start manufacturing this from next month, so I no longer want to continue with having relationship with you on this product. Next generation product, let's discuss. And then by now I understood something is in mind, so I was keeping quiet. We had a nice lunch. They asked me a few questions of what all did you do. I answered them because I knew everything about the product. And then he asked me to go back. That evening I get a call from the person who used to interface with us that the Canadian company, we have signed up the agreement for the same product that they're making. Now the product cost of all components is going to be 23,000 rupees. And we are going to triple our volume and we will sell it at 60,000 rupees and we will make a lot of money. Thanks to you. I was wondering, this was my first industry academia interaction. Did my product succeed? Did my product fail? Did what I do? The industrialist who funded it recovered the money in three products, and he was making by now 5,000 such products per year. He was making a huge amount of money. He was able to use even the broken piece of what I did to drive a better bargain, convince the Canadians that we are capable, and make it very successful. Brought down the cost for that in India, which enabled India telecom department to use it much, much bigger manner. Often I wonder, did my product succeed or fail? This was the first time undergraduate students doing it. In one sense, it completely failed because it never got produced. In another sense, it was one of the most successful products. From that day onwards, industry started calling me. Because by that time, the news spread. And say, We want this to be done, this to be done. By this time, the second biggest thing, and I'm talking deliberately about this, and I had not planned this talk, so I'm just, by seeing these people, I'm talking about it. The second biggest thing that has happened in Tamil Nadu, led by Tamil Nadu, but then the whole country, and was that by this time, there were a large number of engineering colleges that had started getting open. Here, MGR and Ramachandran, and later on, Karunanidhi, private engineering college. And suddenly I had a large number of youngsters who have got graduates and are ready, are looking for a job. And if I could do something, I could employ them and I can train them. They actually trained, they were poorly trained, but it doesn't matter, they were good. They just couldn't get into IITs and all that, but they were good. And they would work much harder than IIT students will do. So they will produce things. I started taking projects from industry, started building things, taking students from your colleges and training them and making them better and better. Throughout 80s we started, and at some point of time we said, well, what happened to that telephone that I wanted for my home? Why is the waiting list 8 years? And by that time I had learned a lot. But one of the major lessons that I learned, madam, sorry again I'm taking too much time for telling this story, major lessons that I learned was that a telephone at that time was fully funded by government, Department of Telecommunications. It used to cost 40,000 rupees to install a telephone line. That time the interest cost was 15%. A telephone installed will last for about 8 years, so depreciation of 12%. And then operation maintenance cost of about 10%. So almost 35% of that 40,000 had to be recovered every year for it to break even. And that was 15,000 rupees per year. And that is 1,200 rupees per month. And 1,200 rupees per month was my salary. So if the DOT gave me a telephone, even if I gave him a full salary to that, DOT will barely break even. Obviously, it was a hugely subsidized product. So government could only put in so much subsidy, and therefore the waiting list of 10 to 8 years, which had gone up only. Once we understood this, we said, what do we have to do? If by some magic we can bring down the cost from 40,000 rupees to 10,000 rupees, I'll need only 300 rupees per month of telephone bill. By that time our income was going up to 2,000, 2,500. I said 300 rupees per month, large number of people can afford, and it can become a business case. If I can bring down the cost to 10,000 rupees. Then I started looking at why does it cost 40,000 rupees? And I knew everything by now about the telecom system. I knew the backbone network, which was connecting cities and towns and from one exchange to another, was at one time very expensive. But I was working on optical fibers. And as we put optical fibers and multiplex large number of signals, that cost was coming to 500 rupees per month per telephone line, not 7,000 rupees. That cost was going down. The another major thing that happened, the switches used to cost, exchanges used to cost 10,000 rupees per line. Fortunately, that time C-Dot came in, Sam Petroda came in and started making digital exchanges. And by then we had figured out that that cost will also come down to 1,000 rupees per line. So what will be the primary cost? Primary cost will be the telephone line from the exchange coming to our home, a pair of copper wire. A pair of copper wire. And this pair of copper wire, copper cost does not come down year after year. It goes up only. Digging cost goes up year after year and creates a huge mess. That was costing 25,000 rupees per line. That cannot be brought down. So me and my group sat down one day and said, what if we make it wireless? Telephone line, instead of copper line, wireless. That time wireless telephony was just coming into the being, but it used to cost 1 lakh rupees per line. So what is I'm talking about financial sense, how do I do it at 1 lakh rupees? But three of us worked for almost 3 months, took a bet that we are replacing copper by integrated circuits and software. Software cost is a one-time cost. I have large number of people coming from these engineering college, and I can employ them and get the whole software done. Very difficult task, but we can do it. And that's a one-time cost distributed over a large number of lines. Its cost is negligible. Integrated circuits, if we can design that, then we sit on Moore's law. Every 18 months cost comes to half. 3 years cost comes to 1/4. 6 years it comes to 1/16. That cost will come down. And once we figure this out, me and my colleagues declared that we will make a wireless in local loop system, complete telephony at 10,000 rupees per line. Many thought we are fools. Young professors, they don't know, but doesn't matter. And we say, we'll first people to do this. And nobody was willing to, however, take a bet. Even WS Industries saying, this we cannot do. So what I did, I made a list of the students who had graduated with me. Those who were in India. I made a list of 7 or 8 of them. And I said, if I can get 5 of these 8, I think we can do this. I went around, they were working in different companies. I said, leave your job, come and join me. And we say, how do we join you? I said, create a company. We didn't know a startup, create a company. And we created a company, Midas, in 1994. And you become the partners, and your company and IIT will have 50-50% partnership. And we'll develop the wireless in local loop. Once we got the whole thing done, figured it out, we went and sold, while on paper design, concept of trying to bring down the cost of telephone line to 10,000 rupees per line, and we said we will therefore get 100 million telephone lines. And we had to sell vision to our industrialists. We said going to government for funding will be a wrong thing to do. We decided not to. So I remember I went to Sunil Mittal and said, are you ready to do 100 million line? We'll give you telephone at 10,000 rupees per line. But I need 75 lakhs rupees from you. I went to Mukesh Ambani. I went to Mahendra Nahata. I went to 1 or 2 other people, prominent Greaves. I knew only you have to go to the chairman because they can take bets of this kind. They each gave us 75 lakhs rupees. 3 crores plus this bunch of youngsters, about 60 to 70 youngsters from colleges like yours. We went to Government of India. Vittal was a secretary that time. I don't know that you know him. He was the one who was saying, I'll remove the waiting list. He bought us our concept. I said, I don't want your funding, but I want your support in defining the specs, testing it out, giving me the spectrum. And 2 years down the line, we had our wireless in local loop functioning. And the cost was 10,000 rupees. It broke the whole market, and the whole thing just became very big. That was the first company. And in fact, one of the first telephone that we gave was to a small restaurant in Besant Nagar, started by 2 women. They were also entrepreneurs. And they started this restaurant in, Eden, called, that time, the Second Avenue. And it was lovely vegetarian food. I used to go there. And once we asked them, that, what is your problem? What do you really need? He says, 1 telephone, sir. 8 years waiting list. I said, I'll give you a telephone as my test telephone. And with them, I have such a relationship. Today, they are serving food to us today. And that's how we started. Basically, Midas was formed under the table. Why? Because in 90s, some of my colleagues sort of said that educational institute is a place for learning. We worship Saraswati. Where are you bringing Lakshmi here? You are creating a serious problem. Lakshmi and Saraswati does not get along well. So beware. You will be in between. It really hurt me quite a bit because I had not thought about it. But then I thought about it. I had said that anywhere a practice which does not go on to benefiting society is of limited. Any science technology which does not finally ultimately benefit society is of very limited use. And the only way it can do this is by either licensing or by incubating company. And we will incubate companies. For 10 years, we incubated companies kind of underground till 2003-04. It became okay to incubate, and by 2012-13, it became a fashion. It is around that time that we saw that industry, academia, work, innovation, what it can do. And there are many other reasons why I did that. People like Vinod Rai, Piyush Goyal were my mentors at that time, working with me. We are on the board of State Bank of India, and we are trying to form this. And I conceived of this idea of IIT Madras Research Park, a place where industry will come and innovators will come and academia will translate their R&D to commercialization. Can we actually do this? Vinod Rai, I don't know how many of you remember him, CAG, ex-CAG, he kind of told me, Ashok, you really want to make this successful? Do not take funding from government. Or take small funding, but basically borrow the money from. IIT was scared, all of us were scared. Young blood are not scared. I went and signed as a kind of a guarantee to the bank. We borrowed 400 crore rupees. We built this whole research park. Over 12 years, what you have seen, this whole thing has been self-funded, that's what she was saying. And we paid back the bank with the interest, and our interest rate was high, 11%. And we make about 50 to 60 crore rupees cash profit every year. And 50 to 60 crore rupees cash profit every year we make. Plus, we started our incubation out here, where industry is not willing to take risk. The young entrepreneurs were willing to take risk. We have created 300 companies, much smaller than many others. And I will tell you why only 300 tomorrow. But the value of these 300 companies is 37,000 crores. 37,000 crore is a public value. And we consider it as a value only if you raise 5 crore rupees at some value. Otherwise, your value is zero. You can't say my value is so. We start with that your value is zero, but build maybe, and as you raise money from outside, then the value will get created. And we have 37,000 crore. We take 2 to 3%, 4% shares right in the beginning. We get diluted quite heavily later on, but we still hold, even at high value, 1% share. And that is what we use to run our place. We don't take money from either the government or the industry in running this place and building this place. We do take some seed money here and there, some CSR money. And of course, our incubating companies, we raise money for them. From venture fund, angel fund, we work very closely with them. But we do not take money from them. And so we have been, tomorrow I am going to run through that what all we have learned in the process. Some of that may be applicable, some of them not going to be applicable. But I want to end by saying that when 2 years back, just before COVID, when our board met and saw that we were actually able to return the money, our board consists of M.M. Murugappan, Chris Gopalakrishnan, Mohan Pai, Ramraj of Sigova Capital, Gopal Srinivasan of TVS Capital, and people like them sort of said that, well, none of us believed that this can be done. 10 years back when you started, we joined this board because we were your friends, we couldn't say no to you. But today, we want you to take up something much, much bigger. And they defined what is called 10x goals. Have a large impact on the nation. The first goal they told us, there are very few products in the market in India which are Indian design. Almost every technology is coming from outside. Even when you buy a vehicle, the technology would have come from outside. Can you take up every year 3 products, 25 products over the next 10 years? And take each of them to 1,000 crore rupees revenue per year. 1,000 crore rupees revenue per year. How do you do it is your business. You and your team does it. You do it or die. You need anything, tell us. We'll help you. Funding is not a problem. If you need to raise more money, we'll raise it for you. You can raise as much money as you want. Today you are saleable. But take 25 companies, 30 companies, take it to 10,000, to 1,000 crore rupees revenue per year. A revenue of 1,000 crore will have a valuation of 20,000 crores. Number two, this is okay, you have been doing 5 incubations per year. We know your incubations are highly successful, very few failures. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. But we want you to do 1,000 incubations a year. I say, how do you do 1,000 incubations per year? First time I was shocked. But say if you don't do 1,000 incubation, you are not going to make a difference to the country. And with as much of success rate as you are doing now. And then we figured out, go back to you. Partner with some of the incubators. But we very carefully pick up. We don't partner with anyone. We really want to see how much struggle are you willing to do. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. And if those who are really serious, we then partner with you. And then making you successful becomes our goal, our task. If we can do, we are going to partner in the next 10 years with 70, 80, 100 incubators. We know we will do that. But we will choose. Nobody can tell us who to partner with. Sorry, Shruti, you can't tell us. Piyush Goyal cannot tell us. Our director cannot tell us. We will examine you, we'll carefully, we'll converse with you, we'll talk to you. If there is a real determination in you to really go to the hard task and make yourself successful, we will help you. We'll work with you. Remember here when we started, we did not take money from the government. And when we made it successful, it was a very hard task. But hard task is required to make anything successful. Without that, nothing becomes successful. I'm sure you have learned it much more than I have done. So I said we will do that. Task number 3. In 5 areas, my board told me, become the world's, make India the leader in the world. Not you, make India the leader in the world. There are very few areas where India is known to be the technology leader in the world. IT-based outsourcing is one. But take 5 areas and make it India the leader. The first area that we have taken is technologies for net zero, technologies for climate change. I can tell you why sometime. But we are very determined by 2030, 31, India will be one of the major players in technologies for climate change. We are not just going to import technology, we will be the technology people. The area number 2, technology for people with disability and geriatrics. People who are handicapped in some manner. We want to become the world leader. There is a lot of young talent who wants to do that. We will have 50,000 engineers working on it to make the best products for India and for the world and the most affordable products. Area number 3, fintech for inclusion. Fintech, financial technology, all of you know mobile banking, UPI. In fact, I played a major role in starting some of these things. We know all this, but this is for rich people today, well-to-do people. What about people with very low income? What about micro enterprise? We will make fintech for micro enterprise and low income people work. Fintech for inclusion, that's area number 3. 2 other areas we have not even selected. We have to be confident that we will succeed, and we are not. This is not the end. Task number 4, again relates to you. Program is titled, create 500 ranchos per year. What is this ranchos and what is this task? You know, when we started discussing, some of the industrialists told us that there are very few people in our companies. We are a large company, but very few people who will be amongst the world's best technologically. Management, we have got the top people. but technologically the world's best are not in India, they are somewhere else. So they had the problems, they didn't know where to dump. IIT Madras Research Park is there. You make 500 people every year to become amongst the world's best in technology. How you do it is your problem. There are large number of engineers graduate. It was not limited to engineer. I'm referring to engineer, but could be in any other area. 1 million engineers. Can we take them and we employ a large number. Can we take them and make them the world's best? Fortunately, we have done it in small numbers. We need to do it at scale at 500 numbers. So these are the 4 goals of the research part. So I think I will stop here, saying that rest of the evening will be with them. You will have a little bit of fun before our dinner, a little bit of getting to know. I think enough serious things has been done. Tomorrow we'll seriously get into incubations. What are the things that need to be done? I think you have already gone around, but in case you have not and want to see more, do a little bit more. There is a very, very good, all kinds of company, rocket company, a company which actually will launch. The complete rocket is being made here. There are a number of other companies which you can talk about. But this ecosystem, you'll get a feel of it. Even this infrastructure, you will see a beautiful hall tomorrow, a 1,000-seater next door. Tomorrow we'll meet there. That's where we are meeting, not in this place. And we'll be available whole day. My team will be available. I want to interact, get to know you. In no way you can push me and get me sort of say partner with you. But I like to get to know you. And if you are really serious, you'll have to pursue me. I answer every mail. Take my card. Make sure that you show me the seriousness, and with Shruti's and her team's blessings, I think we'll help you become successful. Thank you.